Hello and welcome to the Drivers Room Endurance Championship Season 3 Round 4 in Tier 1. We're here today at Alsace Reverse in the Gr1 VGT class. As we take a look at the standings, we can see Pluxtheduck leads after 3 rounds with 2 wins from 2 races raced, with Mac, Nessie and Smithy all close behind, and any one of these guys could get close if they have a good race today. As we're now here at sunny Alsace with the Group 1 cars resplendent in the sunshine, let's take a look at the grid and see what happened in qualifying. This will be a fairly quick qualifying report. So we have Smithy on pole, followed by Dawson. This is the same grid order we had for the first 3 last time out, with Plux in 3rd. Nessie in the strong 4th in the Bugatti, followed by Lorcas. Look for him at the start, the fast starting Audi. Then we have Mac, a little bit further down the grid than we'd usually expect to see him. Senna with a good position. Champion of Season 2 Gadget, followed by Ben. Then we have Ricey in another Bugatti after swapping out the Alpine. Muller, first time out in the Hyundai. Wilco in the Alpine, and Furdick at the back in the Hyundai. Let's see what happens as we take our marks. Look for the hybrid cars to make good starts. The rear-wheel drive Alpines will probably fall backwards. A big wheel spin there by Plux again. We've seen this time and time again. He's fallen back. Has a great start by many cars. Oh, a contact there. That looks like damage between Pluxtheduck and hit the Mac. That was a terrible start for Plux. Yep, front damage. That's going to really put paid to any chances, I think, for him to stay with the top 2 guys. But Nessie and Lorcas having an absolute flying start. Mac as well, if he hadn't got that damage, he managed to get ahead of Dawson as well. So the Alpine's really showing how bad they are, as we're on board with Pluxtheduck now behind Ricey with the front damage on that car. He's going to not feel as racy as he needs to. There's Gadget, he's made a good start, stayed out of trouble, used the 4-wheel drive with the Hyundai very well. Excellent torque that car, as we see Mac falling down the order with that rear damage. Now Plux having a look as they head towards the right hand. He dives to the inside, gets on the brakes hard, but runs a little bit deep. No real contact between the 2 of them. The Senna sneaks through on the inside. That's the lack of front aero really hurting Plux. Couldn't get it pulled up in time, and there's an absolute cluster here as we head towards the fast right-hander for the first time. Verdict at the back. Smith has pulled a huge gap on Lorcas in the same car. He has been the class of the field, Smithy, in practice, pulling a couple of seconds per lap on most drivers, especially early on in the race. Unfortunately, his tyre wear has been shocking, so we'll have to see how that all holds together as we're back further in the grid now with Ricey. He's had a good start in the Bugatti, and there's Smithy again. Great sounding car, that Audi. Lorcas as well. Nessie loses a bit out of the opening corners. Let's see how Lorcas got past Nessie then. And look at the hybrid deployment. That's where all that pace comes from. Smithy's been using it very well to get a lot of lap time. But once it's used up, it's quite hard to recharge that hybrid power. It doesn't. The regenerative braking system isn't that effective, and does deploy probably faster than you can properly recharge it. Not like the old LMP1 Group 1 class of old. We jump back now on board with Ben, who's right up behind Plux. See Plux dive in to repair that damage early. This is shades of the finale in Kyoto in Season 2, where Plux had a lap 1 incident, dropped himself to the back of the grid, and now he's going to have to recover all the way up through the field again. This track is horrendous on front tyre wear. Within 2 laps or so, usually your front tyres start to feel a little bit worse for wear, worse for those cars which are 4-wheel drive or hybrid. A lot of drivers choosing to start on the super softs because of this. Oh, Senna running up on the high line of the horseshoe corner. So we're on board with Dawson, still in that 4th position. Really stretching his legs yet. We do usually expect Dawson to be a little bit further up by now. He might be biding his time. He is on the super softs. He's known for usually going for less pit stops than those around him. And get the track position back that way. He's very good at fuel saving, as is that man there, Nessie. Lorcas in a really good position now, 2nd. He's really come on in form over the last season or so. Ever since he made it back up into tier 1, he's really been trying to work on his pace. And here's a man who doesn't need to work on his pace. Smithy, colloquially known as the man who stole all the nitro. Head on board now with the Wilkinator. Muller just behind him in 10th position. Muller, who swapped out of the Alpine, that's currently ahead of him. As we jump back with Plux to see how he's getting on. Mac as well, but both these guys lost a lot of time at the start. That's the problem with this track, is that first corner can be a bit of a concertina, and you can try and be careful on the outside, but sometimes you get caught out. Bad starts again, costing Plux. As we see Wilco there. Oh, he drops it out of the hairpin. That's Verdict through into 10th position, and it looks like Plux is going to get him on the inside as well. As we cut back to the leaders now, Dawson's starting to show a bit more form. Probably the front tyre wear on the 2 cars ahead of him is starting to kick in, and he's now being able to slowly pull up towards those ahead of him. The Alpine is one of those cars where when it's on high fuel, it can be a bit of a pain to get the nose in, but once the fuel comes off, the car becomes very good. It's such a long car, it doesn't turn in that nicely on high fuel, but really comes alive in the latest parts of the race as we're back on board with Smithy, who is absolutely checking out at this point in the race. He's going to have to do something really quite silly not to be able to pull off a win here today, I think. There's Dawson getting a good run out the left-hander there. Has to tuck back in for the second, the long right-handers, but he gets the job done. He kind of pushed Nessie into a position where he was going to have to try and throw caution to the wind through there. And unfortunately, the problem with that is sometimes you go wide and that allows the other guy back at you. The Alpine very good in a straight line as well. Very hard to overtake that car once it gets up to speed. But at the moment, Lorcas holding on to second, Gadget holding in fifth. Not much between these 4 cars. There's Ricey, not much behind him as well. As we check back on board with Muller and Plux. Plux, who seems to have steamed up to the back of him, but now can't seem to get past. And this is the issue with the Alpine, is because it's rear-wheel drive. You have to be careful out the corners, and it doesn't have the punch. Once it gets up to top speed, it's the class of the field. But through the slow corners, it can be a little bit difficult to get on the power hard. And the Hyundai in front, the 4-wheel drive system is excellent in that car. Let's see if Plux can find a way through past Miller. No. Couldn't try anything through the horseshoe corner. We go back on board with the leaders now. Lorcas, whose tyres are probably already going off. Dawson, who's got very good tyre wear. No, and that's Lorcas wide. And Dawson will have that one easy peasy. Lorcas's hybrid would have run out on the exit of that corner, so we won't be able to use it to get past. It's one of the problems kind of with this game. It's a shame you can't have manually deployable hybrid systems, as we have Smithy there into the pits. Ignore the groove markings on those racing tyres. They should be slicks just like the rest of the cars. As we have Lorcas in, and I believe Nessie as well. So Gadget's up to 3rd place, Ricey into 4th. Senna not far behind in 7th position, so this group is going to all be sticking together. Ricey's going to have to keep it on the black stuff. We've seen Nessie already trying to have a go at Lorcas. Got a good run out of that corner. The hybrid system ran out on the Audi again, and that's going to be a theme for this race, is how much hybrid that car has. Because when it's got hybrid, it's blindingly fast. Fast? I don't know what fast means, but fast. Once the hybrid runs out, it can become a little bit of a sitting duck out the corners. So on board with Muller, who's still ahead of Plux, and this is really costing Plux in the long run. And this shows what happens when you get bad starts. That snake, the train of the snake, is kind of running up towards the second of the long corners. It's the other way around, obviously, to the horseshoe, which is a left, and this is a right. As Muller dips a wheel in the grass there, and he's round. Just tried to push a little too hard. Looks like he might have got away without damage there, but that's going to give Mac a free position as well. Perfectly safe recovery there by Muller, as it looks like maybe Ben made a mistake. Yeah, he did. Maybe damage on Ben's Hyundai as well, I think. As we start to see some pit stops now. Plux is in for his 2nd stop of the afternoon. Senna and Ricey as well are in for their 1st stops. These guys, Senna switched out the McLaren, which was a rocket ship off the line, but awful at everything else. Dawson, who's grabbed himself a nice big old gap because he hasn't pitted yet. Well, these boys behind have. You can see just a puff of white smoke there. That came off the front wheels of that Audi. And that shows you that the way Lorcas is driving that car, as the hybrid system deploys, it actually spins up those front wheels, and that's where that tyre wear comes from, is the fact that the tyres just get overstressed. And this game, the tyre model within it, the tyre profile is they don't like spinning up. That's why mid-engine cars with less downforce than these, such as the Group 3 cars, they really struggle with rear tyre wear, because they slide too much. Oh, talking of slides there, Senna touches that grass, nicely saved though, and looks like he's got a bit more pace than Ricey does at this point of the afternoon. There's a man on a charge. 8th position is not exactly going to do it. As Flux has got a reduced calendar thanks to the pandemic that's going on. There is Lucas in third position. A great start from him though. First 15, or just under 15 minutes of this race, and he's done an excellent job. There's no shame in losing a position to Dawson, put it this way. But Dawson is going long into this stint, so expect him to be maybe doing a 3-stop, while others are doing closer to a 4 or maybe a 5-stop. As we just have a quick swing back from Senna to see how the gap is developing between himself and Plux. As Ricey gets a big wobble out of the tight hairpin, that's lost him the position and a lot of time, and that's going to start putting him into the clutches of Pluxtheduck. Can still hold that tighter line. And I think he's already through. I think Ricey gave the position up. We're on board now. Dawson, who's just pitted, he's managed to slot himself into a nice gap between Lorcas and Nessie. Nessie's going to probably have a look here, maybe. Oh, he does a little bit. Oh, that's a bit naughty. Kind of forces his way through there, and he gets a flash of the lights from Dawson. Unsurprisingly, that was a bit rude. Kind of chrome horned him out the way, as the Americans would say. And Dawson coming back at him now. Great run through that horseshoe. And that allows Dawson back into third. Dawson pitted much later than the cars around him, and we should expect to see Lorcas's tyres starting to fade at the end of the next couple of laps, and Dawson will get onto the back of him nice and quickly. I think Lorcas actually made a small mistake there, because he's far more over to the left than you'd expect at this point on the track. So, can Dawson find a way through in the next few corners? Gets a good run out of there. But you can see there it is again, the hybrid system on the Audi, pulling Lorcas away, just giving him a little bit of breathing space. They can only get about half a tank back, and he's burning it in places where he doesn't want to. That run between the two chicanes is not where he'd need to burn that hybrid system. He'd want to run it out of that corner exclusively, because running, you know, not having that boost between the chicanes really doesn't matter. Out of the hairpin, out of the chicanes, out of the tight left that comes up in a bit. As again, Dawson goes for that deep inside line. He's got the front grip to hold it, and that's another fantastic move there by Dawson. I see they're just waiting, seeing maybe he can start to have a go at Lorcas. There is Senna in the 6th position. So here we are, not long after. Oh, that's a very tight squeeze there by Lorcas. I don't think it was intentional. And Nessie has to get out the power now. Can he find a way around the outside? He sends it in deep. Lorcas is going to have a bit of hybrid deploy, but he can't make that work. And Nessie makes a fantastic move around the outside of the uphill right-hander. Gadget now, because of this fight, is right back in it in 5th position. He's got great tyre wear in that Hyundai. All year he's been showing that. And watch out for Dawson here. He could be the favourite here to take 3rd position. Soon he'll be able to run longer on those tyres at a higher speed. There's the Pluxtheduck. His charge seems to have been blunted again. Senna, whose tyres are lasting surprisingly well for Senna, as we cut on board with our race leader, who we've barely seen because he's disappeared. Comes out in 1st position, a long way ahead of Dawson. We have Nessie jumping in, as with Lorcas, and what did I say? Gadget inherits 3rd because he can make his tyres last longer. As we see Senna come through as well, and Plux. Will they get out in front? Yes, they do. That is Plux out in front of Nessie. And that's going to really slow down Nessie, but the important thing to note here is Lorcas seems to have dropped a long way behind. Could that be fuel related? He's nowhere. Nessie is very good at saving fuel. He's one of those drivers that thinks about it going into the race and makes sure he manages his fuel use. Plux is more relying on the fact the Alpine sips its fuel. It's a very efficient car. You don't have to worry about fuel saving so much. Senna doing a fantastic job on those soft tyres. He raced well here last season as well. He took a third place in the Group 3 cars back in the Mercedes AMG GT3 or GR3. As we take a look at Smithy, it's currently set the fastest lap of the race, but expect that to get smashed in the next lap or so. Dawson set his personal best of the race in the 37s. And Gadget quietly going about his business in third position. Plux under pressure already from Nessie on the fresher tyres. Plux dives it into the pits now. As we jump to the back of the grid, we've got Prevail versus Wilco. Prevail going for that wide line, but it's a great run out of that corner. Look at the difference in pace. Fantastic bit of racecraft there by Prevail. Sorry, not Prevail, Ben. What am I on about? It was Ben. Prevail's up the road a bit. No, great bit of driving there by Ben. There's Muller in 10th. Mack only made it to 9th so far. Expect him to kind of come back maybe a little more later on in the race. Ricey, who's kind of struggling on. There's Plux back in the 7th position. Just behind Lorcas. He pitted in the last lap while Senna stayed out. Well, let's see how that works as we see Gadget coming in. And Senna as well. Senna with 44% fuel. That's a great bit of fuel saving there. And Senna is out. And Plux is through. So Plux has used the undercut brilliantly there. Gets him ahead of Senna, but he's still stuck in dirty air. As we're now watching Lorcas in the 4th position. With Nessie back up to 3rd. Nessie has driven very well in his first season in Tier 1. Really stepped up to the plate, done well. Of course, he took pole in the first race of the season at Barcelona. As we skip ahead now to lap 17, we've got Gadget, who's fallen a little bit away and into the clutches of Senna. I can actually let you know that was because of a real-life technical issue Gadget had, which was slowing him down a bit. Now a little bit preoccupied, lost a bit of time as we now watch Plux, who's all over the back of Lorcas now, and I'm guessing this is probably tyre wear related. Lorcas of course pitted a couple of laps before Plux, maybe a lap or so, but has been burning through those tyres very aggressively. Plux goes for it down the inside. That's a late move. Can he make it work? Oh, he's the hybrid again saves Lorcas's skin. This is a great drive. Great little battle as we're on board now with Senna, who's having a look at Gadget. He's stayed behind him for the whole lap as he goes wide through there. Is he going to try and stick it down? Oh, that's a... Oh! Well, that was a rude move. Perfectly fair. Gadget saw him in time. No contact made, but that was right on the limit of trusting your opponent. So now on board with Plux. Of course, lost out on that run. Oh, and a bit of contact between the two of them. And has that caused damage? We'll have to see. Yes, it has. Front damage for Plux again. That's another bent splitter. And now he goes for a really aggressive move down the inside, despite the lack of aero. Now runs it in deep round the hairpins. Got to try and get on that power hard, because here comes Lorcas back at him with the hybrid system, and they're running side by side as we head towards the horseshoe. Plux Plux is going to have the momentum around the outside onto the inside, and Lorcas does back out in the end. What a great little battle there from Lorcas. Really using the strength of his car there to try and hold off a car on better tyres. But Plux now has to contend with front damage again, and he was probably hoping he'd be able to pull a gap on these guys now. And start thinking about Nessie, who of course has got a lap older tyres. Muller ahead of Mack, who's just pitted recently, I believe. Mack's recovery drive not quite going probably as he hoped. And there's Prevail in 11th. As we watch second place Dawson come in for his second stop. Comfortably out ahead of Nessie, who does pit this time for a fresh set of probably super soft tyres. Good fuel mileage as well. And again, Plux jumps in front of him. Lorcas is in, but needs a lot more fuel, I think. Yep, needs 8 litres of fuel. I think Nessie's went back out with no added fuel. I expect Nessie to start charging back at Plux. Now he won't know that Plux has got front damage, and will have to repair that at the pit stop. Gadget staying in a good 6th position here, despite that technical issue. As we finally take a look at our race leader. Absolutely flying along, the only man in the 36s today. And Dawson, who's just quietly going about his business in a very fast manner, as you'd expect. Plux still currently 3rd, just holding off Nessie for this first lap. Now Smithy's in for what I believe is his 3rd pit stop. So he's looking probably to do a 5-stop strategy today, pitting every 10 minutes. Plux still holding off Nessie. Trying to hold that middle line, not give Nessie a run, but I think he compromised himself a bit there. That wasn't the best line I've seen. And now it's going to be under some serious pressure from Nessie. Remember, of course, Plux has got that damage, and it's not like he can afford to make a big mistake here as he's trying to hold it on the inside. Runs in, I think, a bit hot. Oh, he managed to keep it out of real proper danger, but now he's got Senna diving down the outside. Senna tries to make it work, but you just can't really hang it round the outside there. You can go for the cutback, as we saw Plux did, but you can't kind of go all the way around the outside of someone. The switchback nature of that hairpin makes that difficult. You can see how much Plux is struggling with the front end now, especially now he's back in some dirty air. Expect Nessie to clear off a bit, and again, no front grip for Plux. Senna almost runs into the back of him. There's Lorcas. And Ricey. Mack, who's now a fair bit ahead of Miller, who's just been tootling around. Ben and Wilco bringing up the rear for now. Watch, Nessie now has pulled up a couple of seconds on Plux. Plux will hit this time, so we'll get that damage repaired. And now it is Senna holding on ahead of Gadget. Gadget looking like he's got a bit more pace again in the late stage of this stint, which is what you'd expect for the man who can make tyres last several years. But crucially there, Plux stays out ahead of Ricey. I think if he'd fallen behind him there, that could have put real pay to Plux's chances. He will have Lorcas not far ahead of him, and maybe that damage repair might have cost him a chance at jumping Lorcas, or at least making it close on the run into T1. And Gadget has come back at Senna and got round him. Great driving there. We didn't quite see the beginning of that move, but a great recovery after some trouble earlier on in this stint. Or at the end of last stint, let's clarify. We've got Lorcas, whose tyres are already starting to get a bit worn. There's Plux here in 7th position. The gap between 3rd through 8th even. It's probably around 10 to 15 seconds at most. Really close fight for that final position on the podium. Dawson and Smithy are very much in a race of their own by now. As we see Gadget and Senna come in, almost identical fuel levels. Bit more fuel there from Senna maybe? Or, no, opposite. And now they're right next to each other. And Senna has a look down the inside. And Gadget has taken a weird line through there, and he clips that grass, and oh no! Oh, well, that's Gadget's race done. Rear damage, but more importantly, engine damage. That's going to put pay to his race. He'll fall probably almost a whole lap down now, and he'll have to come back into the pits to get that repaired. So we can eliminate probably 2 challenges there for the 3rd position. Senna also received damage in that unavoidable incident. Now Lorcas starting to run out of front tyres. Plux getting a better run out of that corner. And this time, can the hybrid save Lorcas? Not quite. He's run out on exit. And this time Plux has got the line, and he'll be able to just take the line that he wants through there. And this is the problem with the Audi, which is it destroys its front tyres, and then you can't use enough hybrid to make up for that. So you just get caught in this no man's land of having no front grip and no oomph out the corners. That you can see now the gap between Dawson and Nessie. It's now pretty massive. Dawson, who's made those tyres last very well, while Smithy's gone for the opposite approach of just sprint at around a second a lap faster than anybody else can even get close to. Sprint for 5 or 6 laps, then pit. And he pulls the gap he needs each time. Plux now starting to put the hammer down. You can see in the 37s this last lap. Of course, lost a little bit of time having to take a different line through the opening chicane section. And Mac now up to 6th thanks to the damage to Senna and Gadget. Try and find Gadget, who is still on his recovery drive in 11th position. No, he's on an outlap, still with engine damage, so we'll have to find out what happened there. But, yeah, he must have already gone into the pits and must have missed the damage repair. What a shame for him, because that's really torched his race as Nessie now comes into the pits on lap 24. So this is expected to be a 36 lap race, as we are now at 40 minutes into the race. So he's going probably for 1 more stop after this. Plux has got enough fuel and probably tyres to do another 2 or 3 laps. Now if he can make that work, he could come in on lap 27 maybe and try and stretch a set of soft tyres to the end, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure. Of course, that pit stop will be longer than Nessie's. Nessie looked like he took enough fuel maybe to get to the end. Plux still will need to refuel. And there is Gadget, now having repaired his car. So yeah, it looked like there was a bit of a mistake there, not getting the damage service, and he's now already 1 lap down. He's about to be lapped by Dawson in 2nd position. Dawson, who probably will pit this time. He's made those tyres last incredibly well. So we see Smithy now pits. This is going to be his one and only proper fuel stop. Dawson coming out into the final corner, and Smithy is already past Prevail. He's got to get past the ex-teammates, Gadget and Prevail. Prevail was the junior team driver. As we take a look at the live timing, a terrible job of looking at the live timing. Just see what the gaps are there. See what the gap on track looks like. So the one we're looking at here, probably most of all, is probably third and fourth, which is Plux and Lionessi. There's not a lot between those two guys. Smithy, who's going to be comfortably away again now. Whilst the gap is 2 seconds for now, we expect Dawson in the next lap or so. You can see the gap is I believe it's about 23 seconds between Dawson and Plux. Big margin there. Plux, who probably had better pace than he's now showing. Oh, very wide on those old tyres. But really showing you the perils of that bad start. And then damage, cost himself easily that amount of time and just having to battle and pit more times, but not have enough explosive pace to kind of make it work. It's been a great drive by Senna. We're now on board with Dawson, having his final pit stop. So he managed to stretch those tyres all the way to lap 27. And now Nessie's starting to close back in on Plux. On those fresher tyres, will Plux pit this lap on lap 27? Try and go 9 laps to the end. This is what he may try and do to make sure he's only going to do one stop, and he's in this time. So Plux with just a little bit of fuel left in that car. This is going to be crucial. He's got to get out ahead of Lorcas, otherwise he is not going to have a chance. He is. So, Plux on those fresh tyres is going to stay out ahead of Lorcas. This was probably crucial to make this plan work. He's now going to drive smoothly on those soft tyres. Can't let them get too damaged because he's got to come out ahead of Nessie, because Nessie will come out on fresh super soft tyres, and pretty much what Plux will have to rely on is the fact the Alpine is so good in a straight line, and have to concentrate on getting good exits out of every slow corner, which is difficult to do on old soft tyres on that car. Smithy, who is now flying up to the back of 11th place. I think that might be Ben in 11th, maybe Prevail, I'm not sure. No, we've seen him pass Prevail, so yes, I think it's Ben. Dawson there in the second position. See the gap that has come from that. So now Nessie in the number 16 Bugatti. It's got around 6 seconds, I think. Let's check the live timing. Yeah, that does look to be about a 6-second gap. So the pit stop time here is around 5.5 seconds. So Plux is going to have to close in a little bit more to have a go at that. The game has become a little bit confused and deployed 2 Dawsons on the track, but I can safely tell you that only the second place Dawson is the real Dawson. And 13th is unfortunately Gadget, who really can be cropper. Just seeing how that gap changes. So again, Plux has to close up a little bit more to Nessie, get that gap under 6 seconds. Nessie's doing a good job on those tyres. And now we have Ricey and Mac. Mac has just come back through on those fresh tyres, but Ricey having a solid race in 8th place. With Mac in 7th. On that recovery drive, not really had the best of pace. And it's got a little bit lucky getting a free position for the Gadget issue. Gadget, who is now having to give way to Dawson again. And backs it off on the way into the slow left-hander. And Verdict there in 13th place. So back on board with the closest fight, I think, in the field now. At least strategically. Plux, he really needs to keep that pace up. He can't allow himself to drop off. But this does look like it's actually quite a bad lap by Plux. Not really had the pace he's needed, which is one of the kind of driver flaws of Pluxtheduck. He sometimes doesn't get that magic lap in you've seen before. Doesn't get a lot of pole positions, doesn't get a lot of fastest laps. As we now see, let's see what the gap's going to be. They're right together. Plux gives it everything into there. You can see the tail waggling on that Alpine, but he has managed to make it happen just about as they ended lap 30. So, we'll keep an eye on this gap as we're now back on board with Alsace, who must have pitted not long ago, because Mac was behind him by some way. Same with Senna, who must have pitted. Yeah, you can see him there as well. Oh, a little bit of contact between those two. Alsace hangs it all the way around the outside. Yeah, Mac's on very old tyres. These two are on quite fresh tyres. As we see Dawson, who pits late, so he's going for a last lap splash. A last lap set of tyres, trying to steal fastest lap away from Smithy. It's going to be difficult to manage. That Alvey is phenomenal. As we see now, Nessie already trying to find a way. Have a look. See, he can brake much later than Plux, but Plux is concentrating on the exit. It is lap 34. Not those tyres would be 7 laps old now on Plux's car. And Nessie having to do some serious fuel saving as well to make it to the end, and I think that might help Plux. Oh, but Plux has made a mistake. Got on the loud pedal a little too hard. He's opened up the gap, opened up the chance for Nessie to have a go. Straight line speed is saving him. Nessie couldn't get an overlap, so Plux could take his line through there. He's now going to have to be careful through the hairpin. It's another slow corner. He's got to get on the power carefully. And no, he doesn't. There's a little bit of a tail slide again, so that's going to damage the rear tyres. Again, the red light is flashing. He needs some fuel. They're going to get to lap 36, and then the fuel's going to expire probably before they get round again. But it's definitely going to be 36 laps for these guys. Maybe first and second will get 37. Mac now dropping back down to 7th. Senna up to 6th. Great drive by Senna. Alsace as well, really showing his improvement in form as Smithy pits for one last set of tyres. He might actually make it round. So yeah, he will get another go at fastest lap. Dawson out is on his flying lap, but he's got traffic, so he probably won't get to have a go as we're back on board with the battle for the third and final spot on the podium. Nessie having a look. Couldn't make it happen that time. Plux covers off the inside early. He's got to get on the power. He gets on it too hard again, and Nessie's going to have a really good run into T1. Plux has to cover both the inside and the outside there. He waits late to get across the track. And now Nessie's going to be on the power nice and early. He gets a great run using the four-wheel drive system as they head up towards the hill, towards the fast downhill right-hander. Plux takes the smoother inside line. Nessie was trying to probably go for a kind of cutback line, trying to get the power well, but this time he hasn't had a great exit out of there compared to Plux. Plux got a much better run. And he's probably going to be safe through the horseshoe now, which is one of the corners which probably was a good chance for Nessie to have a go. He could send it down the inside and try and take away that end. But this time he has a look through there. Plux having to concentrate on the late apex to get the power out the corner because he can't risk that. Nessie again just trying to crowd the mirrors of the 4-time series champ. Really showing his class here is Nessie. You know, really showing he can mix it with the established stars of T1. And he's probably trying to get some revenge after Plux kind of did a number on him at Barcelona. But here they come. He got a great exit out of that hairpin. It's such a crucial corner. Plux is going to have to cover the inside, but he's not moving over. Nessie goes for it down the inside. He's not going to make the apex. And they do touch, but that was a real dive bomb. Came over a car length back. Plux holds on and will take third position. The two leaders have made it onto the 37th lap, so we'll pick them up when they finish. But Alsace with a great 5th place. He was second early on in the race, didn't quite have the tyre wear to make it work, but a great drive, great start, and really starting to show some momentum. Senna with a great finish in 6th. Mac with a good recovery to 7th after kind of a race where nothing really was his fault. He just got unlucky. And there was Ricey in 8th. Miller will finish 9th. Ben will be 10th. Wilco 11th, and Gadget and Prevail at the back. So we'll see what Smithy and Dawson are doing pace-wise. Smithy out the final corner now. Can he set a new fastest lap on the final lap? Yes, he can. What can Dawson do? Dawson did set a personal best on the previous lap, but I don't think that's... No, he's backed it off. You can see the fuel probably wasn't enough, and he's a couple of seconds down. Might have got traffic. What a great drive from these guys. It's just the minor placings now. Ben puts a move on Wilco. Can Wilco get the exit? No. It's going to be a close run thing, and Gadget will be the last finisher in 12th. So as we see, Smithy with a fantastic result there. Kind of controlled the race from start to finish, pole and fastest lap. Dawson stayed in 2nd place, well, from the grid, got back past the fast starting cars. Plux with another recovery drive to 3rd place after a terrible start again. But yeah, that was a great race there by Smithy. And let's see what that does to the standings. We can see that the two Smithy and Plux tied on 134 points with 2 wins apiece. Mac and Nessie follow in 3rd and 4th, not far behind, with Gadget starting to trail a little bit in 5th. Kim didn't race this time, so drops a few positions in 6th. Alsace jumps up past Ricey and Senna. And Cape and Wilco currently occupying the relegation spots. So next time out we'll be at Fuji for round 5 in the Group 4 cars. So we'll see what happens then. Catch us soon, and thank you. Goodbye.